Mr. Kotak, we've got Arvind Maradam back live with us. We've sorted the link. Is there any question that you got for Mr. Maradam? Any clarification that you think that the market and corporate India needs right now, specifically with regards to those tax residency certificates?
Mr. Mayaram, first of all, compliments to you for producing a very responsible budget. The markets today, one is concerned about this FII issue, which I think the finance minister has also clarified. And the second was on this gross borrowing program, which markets felt, the bond markets felt was a little higher than what they had anticipated. And that is also linked to the buyback program within the gross borrowing program. Therefore, if there's a way for you to give some comfort on these 2 points, it will certainly help markets. So that was point number one, which is more short term. And the second point is, in this budget, we have seen focus come back to financial savings as a key priority for the government. The question which I have is, could we have done more to give a bigger boost to the financial savings piece, considering your constraints?
Thank you first for acknowledging that the budget is balanced. I think that was the entire exercise was for consolidation, for providing a strong foundation for a more certain growth trajectory to be followed. Now, on the first issue that you have spoken of, I think there is a misunderstanding. If you look at the double taxation avoidance treaties that have been signed with a large number of countries, around 80 countries if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 requirements there for you to be able to get the benefit of the treaty. The one requirement is your resident status. And the second requirement, in many of the benefits that you are looking at, the second requirement is also who the beneficial owner is. That is a beneficiary interest, as you had rightly mentioned. Now the question is that as far as the residence is concerned, there can be 2 ways of looking at it. One is that the tax authorities could question whether a certificate in itself is adequate to establish your residency. This amendment very clearly states that as far as residency status is concerned, if you have a certificate from that particular jurisdiction, then your residency shall be established, it would be accepted. The second issue is whether residency certificate is enough to establish whether you have a beneficiary interest. And that the answer to that is it is not enough, and that you would have to establish your beneficiary interest in a particular transaction. That I think is true for all the treaties that they have been signed. They were part of the treaties much before this amendment was brought in, and this amendment is only for clarifying the position so that subsequently there is no doubt either in the mind of the taxman nor in the minds of the investor. So to that extent, I don't think the reaction should be in the manner in which it has been brought about. But as the finance minister has said, even then, if there are any doubts or any questions in this regard, then the finance ministry will issue necessary clarifications to allay any fears that may arise from there. So to that would be my answer. As far as the savings is concerned, as you have rightly said, this is, in fact, if you recall what the finance minister said was, this is just the first step. This is not the final word on what we are going to be doing through the next year. This is just a beginning. This is a broad framework. This is a broad picture which has been painted. And within that, a large number of other steps also have to be taken. For instance, Reserve Bank of India has advocated, inflation indexed bonds. That is under consideration, that would be looked at. Now, so there are a large number of other measures that will come, as Finance Minister said. They will be rolled out through the year. And we have a tough year. But we have a lot of tough action that we need to put in place. But the one confidence that we have is that whatever is being said is credible, and we will walk that path. And all that which is required to be done to make it happen will be done. I think what is important is for you to look at the Mool Mantra, as the Finance Minister had said, which is growth, which is equitable, which is inclusive, and which is sustainable. And I think there are very large number of measures which have been spoken of in the budget itself, and we'll be building on those. So I think you will see all that unfolding through the year.
Right. Mr. Mayaram, I still have a clarification, and Swami and I were discussing this here. Certain quarters of the tax department seem to have clarified that the tax residency certificate does not really apply to capital gains tax. Would you want to clarify for once and for all, is that true?
To be really honest, Supriya, I would not venture into that area because I don't deal with tax. I can only speak to you the general principle, but specifics, I'm very sure if there is any doubt in anybody's mind, they can write to the ministry, and it would be fully clarified to everyone's satisfaction. As Finance Minister has said that if any clarification is required, that will be provided. So I don't see any apprehension of that count, but on a specific question, I do not think I would have the answer.
Fair point. Mr. Kotak, come in on what you've heard from Mr. Mayaram on the clarification as far as the tax treaty is concerned. Does that, in a sense, address most of the concerns? And to the other point that you made on more being done to incentivize equity investment, is that a big disappointment really from an equity market point of view that, in a sense, the government has lost the opportunity, at least in the budget?
I think on this area of equities, the way I look at it is the budget has certainly given a clear message that financial savings are important. And as we are hearing from the Finance Minister and Mr. Mayaram, if there is more which will be done through this period, that will certainly be helpful to get Indian savers back into equities and away from gold. And that, I think, is the key. How do we get Indian savings remain in India into equities and financial instruments in India rather than getting exported into foreign gold? And that is comforting that there is a focus on it.
Swami,
Mr. Mayaram, Mr. Mayaram, if I could engage you again, on service tax, there's this huge 35% increase in service tax receipts. Almost 50,000 crore extra is going to come from there. And it would appear that a significant amount of it is going to come from a kind of voluntary disclosure scheme. So that's not quite the phraseology used by the Finance Minister. Now, can you explain the details of this? The Finance Minister said that you had as many as 17 lakh registered assessees for service tax, of whom only 7 lakhs were actually paying up, the others had just stopped paying. Now, to say, why don't you please disclose something, sounds extremely weak to most of us. The question is, why aren't you going after those guys? And not only that, I mean, if they were paying service tax, were they also paying income tax? How much income tax were they paying? After all, if you've got a substantial service industry, presumably there's a decent income. I mean, there's this business of the missing middle. That this missing middle, all kinds of small entrepreneurs, businessmen who are just not paying any kind of tax, be it income tax or be it service tax. Don't we have to go after them much more aggressively than just hoping this voluntary disclosure?
I think there again we have this entire issue of what is more aggressive and what is less aggressive. If you remember, there also earlier on several channels we were asked this question whether the government is being very aggressive on tax. So the question is, I don't know which perspective one should take, but one thing is very clear, which is, one, if you have seen what the Finance Minister said in his press conference also, technology is being used in a very big way. On the direct taxes side, if you know, there is now a huge area has been plugged only on account of use of technology, where the matching of people who are filing, for instance, tax deducted at source, but the final returns not being filed or final returns giving different numbers, all this is now being tracked by technology, there's a very powerful algorithms which have been written, and based on those the tracking is happening. So similarly we will need to move in the same manner on the indirect taxes side also, but it's a little more complex and it will take a little time. However, to say that the tax people are not going after those who are paying, not paying taxes may not be correct. In fact, the numbers itself, now that the finance minister has said this, revenue secretary has said this, that 17 lakh are registered and only 7 lakh are actually filing returns. They didn't say they are not paying tax, but they're actually filing return. Clearly means that now a tracking is happening, and those who are not filing return are being now asked to file returns. In fact, in this budget, if you see, kind of an amnesty scheme for those who have not paid taxes for the last 5 years, but now they come and pay taxes, therefore no questions will be asked and they'll be allowed to pay taxes. This has been brought in only to bring greater compliance on the service tax side. You must remember that service tax is relatively new compared to other taxes which have been enforced for a very long time. And therefore, more and more people are now being brought under compliance. But it is going to happen.
Right. Mr. Mayaram, I'm going to leave the field open to you. Do you have questions for Uday Kotak and for Swaminathan Iyer? They've asked questions to you. It's perhaps time to turn the table.
No, I think what I hear from both Swami and Uday, I think is very encouraging, because I think this is a very responsible analysis and evaluation of the budget. Unfortunately, on the short run, everybody looks for less taxes, but yet more revenues, less deficit, more expenditure. It's a kind of a schizophrenic approach to budget which you see most often in the short run. I feel very reassured when I see this kind of an analysis which is looking at the budget in the manner in which it was supposed to be seen, and who are also seeing that it has very strong foundation is being laid for future growth. And to that extent, I think everyone on the panel is on the same page, including the finance ministry, which I must say rarely happens.